The views and opinions expressed on this program are not necessarily those of this station, JVC Broadcasting Management, or its sponsors.
With so many people living longer, the fear of outliving your money becomes a reality for many of us. Will I be a financial burden? Will I outlive my money? How will I be remembered? My name is Neil Himmelstein, president of Main Street Planning Group. Please contact me by visiting mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. I will introduce you to strategies that will guarantee you will not outlive your money, that can guarantee you will not be a burden on your loved ones. Through a collaborative approach, we will uncover solutions that offer tax-efficient strategies, lifetime income, and legacy planning, choice, organization, direction, and education. That is the code we stand behind. Contact mainstreetplanninggroup.com. That's mainstreetplanninggroup.com, or call 631-647-4694. And listen to me every Friday at 3 p.m. as I host the Main Street Code for Financial Success, right here on 103.9 LI News Radio. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. I'm here every Friday at 3 o'clock. If you miss an episode, you can catch me on Spotify or Apple or my website, themainstreetcode.com, where LI News Radio streams this, and we're here every Friday at 3, and happy to be here. When we talk about our code, we talk about choice, organization, direction, and education. We help hundreds of advisors, mostly insurance advisors, attorneys, accountants, and people like you, whether you're a business or an individual, with your financial plans, with our expertise in life insurance, annuities, disability, long-term care, and life settlements. We are wholesalers and retailers, basically, so we are totally agnostic. We represent over 30 different insurance companies, and we provide solutions for you to help you further on. Today, I really want to talk about the market. It's on everybody's mind. The market is getting crushed, and it's very disconcerting. And we always talk about following the money. Where's the money going? Well, the big money is going into fixed income things. People are getting out of the market and going into fixed income instruments. And one of the biggest instruments that we're seeing is people going into annuities, and we represent fixed annuities and index annuities, and I want to go into it as to why it's a good option for you to take advantage of the higher interest rates and the uncertainty in the market. So you can look at billionaires like Warren Buffett, who's taken a lot of their money out of the market and put it into cash, but then they put it into what we call fixed income instruments. Now, a lot of people will put their money and throw it into the bank. The banks last year had a big problem. And let's talk about the safety of the bank. The issue with the bank is, I know there's FDI insurance that'll cover a certain part, but what happened with the banks last year is they had all this money out there for mortgages, these long-term mortgages at 2 and 3%, at 3% and 2%, and yet their borrowing from the government is at 5 or 4.5 or, is much higher than what their obligations are. So it caused the banks, and a lot of banks, to go into a flurry of activity where some banks even went out and, nobody individually got hurt really bad, which was good, but that's a problem. But what people don't realize is when they put their money in a bank, or they put their money in a CD or a savings account or a checking account, the bank only needs to keep like 2% of your money, or 8%. I'm sorry, it's 8%. They only keep 8% of that in reserve. So as safe as you feel that bank is, because here's this nice big building and gives you a lollipop when you come in, and as wonderful and safe as you feel that is, they're only keeping 8 cents of every dollar. The rest they're loaning out to people. They're loaning it out on mortgages. They're loaning it out on credit cards. That's how they make their money. So there's really no disclosure to you. How much of my money, when I put $100 in a bank, how much of that $100 are they really saving for me is really mine? Well, if you put in $100 and it's only $8, That has me concerned about the safety. Now, there is FDIC insurance. But what does that mean, this whole FDIC insurance? All that means is if that bank goes under, they will cover you up to a certain amount of your own money. But I know my father, who grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, had 2 banks close on him. And although he never lost a dollar, on 1 or 2 occasions, it cost him, 10 months of time for him to get his money back. I mean, that's realistic. That, okay, yeah, we'll protect your money, but it may take 10 months to get your money back. So how safe is the banks? I mean, really, how safe is my money? And you may be chasing like short-term rates. A lot of people chase CDs, and people get angry when I call them certificates of depreciation, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So what do I mean by certificates of depreciation? Well, if the bank offers me 5% interest rate on a CD, I got to pay tax on that every year. So if my tax bracket is state and federal is 40%, that 5% is really 3%, 2%. It's not a real 5%. Even if they offer me that, which they're not doing. Sometimes you may get that for 5 years or 3, but you're paying tax on all that money. So it's really depreciating. It's not keeping up with inflation if you're paying tax on it. So that's why I call it a certificate of depreciation. I've said that to people who are heavy into CDs and they get upset. What do you mean? A CD is a certificate of depreciation. It's a certificate of deposit. Yeah, that's what the name is, but it depreciates. It doesn't grow. And we like annuities, and I'll tell you why, because you don't have to pay tax on them until you take your money out. So it's not depreciating. So if I give you a 5% annuity and it grows, you're not paying tax on that every year. It's a big difference. Now, a lot of people are moving into fixed income, and they go into bond funds. Well, people don't realize bond funds can go down in value. As a matter of fact, when I was in the investment world years ago, one of the biggest bond funds that were out there was investing in municipal bond funds. It was the Rochester Fund, and it had a great history, and it was all municipalities. It was New York State bonds. I felt very comfortable, very safe in that environment. I said, but at the end of the day, we had some months where it went down. It went down big because they were selling bonds and doing bonds, and the bond rating things overestimated the ratings on these bonds and municipalities, and all of a sudden the bond fund is going down. How could that be, you say, Neil? Because when you're in one of these bond funds, they're selling and buying bonds. So the value can go down. Now you say, a lot of people are invested in mutual funds, which I love, by the way. I love the idea of mutual funds. Mutual funds diversify your exposure. As a matter of fact, most 401ks and most pensions are in mutual fund type accounts. You have a money manager that invests in a broad variety of things. What people don't realize, if you're buying mutual funds out there, that your mutual fund can go in value, can go up in value, or can go down in value based on the investments. It could go down in value, and you could pay taxes on top of that. You say, Neil, how could that be, that it could go down in value and I got to pay taxes? Because in the internal mutual fund, when they're buying and selling stocks during the growth cycle of that fund, or they're getting out of positions, they may be getting out of positions where they have a gain. You have to pay tax on that. Okay? Yet the mutual fund lost money for the year, yet I'm still paying taxes on top of it. So you think I'm running to safety in buying mutual funds? You have to be very careful. You have to know what you're doing. And buying individual stocks is quite a crapshoot. You know what? I had a guy in my office years ago that he would go and he gambled. He was a gambler. And he would go down to Atlantic City, and he'd come back, I won $3,000 this weekend. And you thought, he was the greatest gambler in the world. Everybody I know always talks about what they won and never talk about what they lost. They always talk about what they won. Never did they talk about what they lost. People that are day traders in the stock market, the same thing, and these YouTubers and these bubblers. Wow, I won this, and I got this, and I got this. But when it crashes, they never say anything. Isn't that funny? Everybody knows somebody like that. Be careful of these people that are doing so great and doing so great. They don't tell you when it hits the fan. It hits the fan. See, I'm being good on the radio today. It hits the fan. Right now, we're in a crisis. It's hitting the fan for a lot of people. And in addition to the market crashing, a lot of us are losing jobs or are being threatened to lose their jobs. That creates a lot of uncertainty. So we need to see a way of flocking to fixed products like everybody else. And I'm going to go more into it after the break about why fixed annuities are a great idea right now. You're listening to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. I'm your host, Neil Himmelstein. If you want to reach out to me, 631-647-4694. Thank you. Welcome back to the Main Street Code for Financial Success. So you're listening to Neil Himmelstein of Main Street Planning Group. And today I was talking about how the market is crashing and where the big money is going. It's moving into fixed assets, fixed income products. And one of the products that we do a lot of business with is annuities, fixed annuities and fixed index annuities. And we're going to talk more about that. But you know, I made some disturbing comments before the break about the safety of banks and the safety of your money and the safety of mutual funds. And I want to talk about how safe annuities are. And I want to talk about insurance companies too. I want to really get into, though, the safety of annuities. Okay, so annuities are not only do the insurance companies have to keep $1.08 for every dollar you put in, as opposed to 8 cents that the bank has to keep in. So people are nervous. Oh, annuities aren't safe. Very safe. In addition, behind that, in case the insurance company, annuities are offered by insurance companies, and in case that insurance company goes insolvent, there's also a New York guarantee fund of up to $500,000, which is greater than the FDIC, by the way. But only up to $500,000. So it's tremendously safe, okay, compared to a CD, believe it or not, or keeping your money in the bank. I feel it's safer. However, you want to look at the quality of the company is very important, the insurance company. And a lot of people that are buying online or doing 1-800-INSURANCE are buying companies that I would never recommend to my dog. I hate to say it. Or like I like to say, they're buying a car without wheels and think, oh, it's the cheapest price. I think having a quality company that's going to pay the claim is more important than buying the cheapest price. And I had a situation last year where I had to help a young man with a death benefit because the insurance company didn't want to pay the death benefit. I know his dad bought the policy online. I know the company. They're no longer offering product, but he bought the product online because it was quick, easy, and cheap. It took him 3 years to get the money because his dad died suddenly from a brain aneurysm, and they weren't paying him a claim. A lawyer had to call me and say, hey, Neil, please help this client get his money, which I did. I got him paid before Christmas. I was contacted in November. I said, I'll get you your money before Christmas. I had to get involved because there was no agent behind it, even though the policy was only 4 or 5 years old. There was no agent to find. The insurance company was belligerently saying, well, we're not paying this claim because he didn't tell us he was going to have a brain aneurysm. How the hell do you know you're going to have a brain aneurysm? Okay? But somebody had to get involved and help this young man. And the lawyers don't know how to get involved because they don't know insurance companies. I know insurance companies. I know people in insurance companies. I know the New York State Department of Insurance. I know the New Jersey Department of Insurance. I know where the buzzes are and what you have to do to get that claim. And that's why the lawyer contacted me, and I was so happy to help that young man. Okay? That insurance Wasn't a huge policy, but it was intended to help him get through college. Okay, he was in his second year of college when his father passed. Okay, it was $100,000 to help him get through college. Well, guess what? He left college because he couldn't afford to stay in college, and we got him the money 3 years later, and he never did complete his degree because he didn't want to go into massive debt. Smart young man. But at the end of the day, how messed up is that? Because they didn't go with a quality company or go with a person. They bought it online just to say, hey, I got the cheapest price. And lo and behold, didn't have an agent, was a company that wasn't a great company, but they did pay their claim because I got involved. They wouldn't have happened if I didn't. Or eventually it would have. They could have dragged them on for another year or two. Okay? It's no good. All right. So, getting back to the subject, fixed annuities, how safe they are. The rates are typically better than CDs. You know, the rates right now, there are 4.5% to 5%, but there's also bonuses and indexes. I want to describe how they happen. But here's the double whammy right now that we're facing. People are losing their jobs right and left with the federal government, with the post office service. We don't know if we're going to be there, as all these different agencies. Or the worst thing is not being sure. The worst thing is saying, hey, I'm taking early retirement, and all of a sudden my 401k is down. That's a big problem, because all of a sudden if your 401k is down, you got to take that money. Guess what? It's taxable to you. And then you can't rebuild that money if it's down lower, and you've had to take a withdrawal, and you've had to pay taxes onto it. And I say that is so important because I was talking to a young man who was saving money and working for actually he's working for the post office, and on the side, because it wasn't enough money to feed his family, he drove me in a car from the airport, and I was telling him, hey, if they're doing a match into your 401k, I go, why don't you just do it into a Roth 401k? Do you have that option? Yes, I do have that option. Well, guess what? Doesn't that make sense to be in something that when you need that money is going to be tax-free to you instead of taxable to you? Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. No one's ever told me that. No one ever told him that. I told him that. He says, they don't teach young people how to do this. Okay, they don't teach people that, hey, I could put this in a Roth. I told my daughter years ago in her Apple, you're not making money when you started your career in your 20s. You're not making the thing where you need that income tax deduction. If they're going to do it in a Roth, so when you need that money, wouldn't it be great that you don't have to pay taxes on it? Well, for a lot of people, it's too late. For your younger people and your children and the younger people listening to the show, I'm telling you, the Roth is a better deal. You don't want to pay taxes now. The government's saying, oh, I'm going to give you this great favor. We're going to give you a tax deduction now. Well, now's not when you need the tax deduction. When you need it is when you need the money. You don't want to pay taxes on it. When that money's built up and, hey, I'm ready to retire, wouldn't it be great to have all that money tax-free? No, I got to pay taxes on it. That's when the government takes the money, is when you need it. So something to think about. Now, I'm getting off topic, but annuities grow tax-deferred just like your 401k. Now, you do have to pay tax on the growth in annuities. You do. But you don't, not until you use the money, then you pay the growth. So that's part of it. Now, some of our annuities right now will give you a bonus of like 5%. So if you're forced into retirement right now, okay, and your 401k just dropped, and you have 200,000, 100,000, 300,000, whatever it is, getting a 5% bump will get you back to where you were. Let's think about that. Getting that 5% bump will get me back to that 5% I lost in the last couple of weeks. Okay? Because now I'm forced to retire. Now I have to do something with now I really have to think about, I can't lose this money. So that's number one. Secondly, we can do an interest rate game all day long. these indexes, unlike an index fund with these fixed annuities, these indexes will work as a hedge that will take advantage if the market goes up from here. You want to talk about buying the dips? Now's a great buying time because now's a dip. So you buy that index now and it goes up next year and you can make 6-7%. Okay? And if the market further dips, guess what? You're protected. Usually with a floor of nothing, so you can't lose money. So this is a great way of protecting your money today in these fixed index annuities. If you need more information, call me. Go through this with us. Now's the time to really look and analyze where you're at and where you're going. Now's the time to flee to safety. We have the solutions for you at the Main Street Planning Group. Give us a call, 631-647-4694. Give me a call, Neil Himmelstein, best way to reach me. I look forward to talking to you. Have a great weekend, everybody.